Hoje a gente vai conferir uma entrevista muito polêmica com o deputado canadense Charlie Angus, que ele dá sua opinião contundente sobre Donald Trump, as ameaças de tarifas dos Estados Unidos, o boicote do Canadá aos produtos dos Estados Unidos, inclusive também o boicote dos canadenses às viagens aos Estados Unidos. Os canadenses estão parando, inclusive, de viajar para os Estados Unidos, né? E muito mais. Ele vai soltar a língua aqui, vai falar mesmo. O Charlie Angus tem essa característica, ele não tem papas na língua, ele fala mesmo. Então a gente vai ver essa entrevista aqui que ele deu pro Ben Meiselas, do canal MeidasTouch. O canal MeidasTouch é o canal dos Estados Unidos, beleza? Pessoal que não gosta de legenda, hoje vai ter que ser com legenda, pessoal, porque a gente tem que entender as nuances da conversa dele. Eu vou deixar a legenda bem grande para vocês, com bastante destaque, e ver o que vocês acham dessa legenda. Muita gente prefere o vídeo dublado, muita gente prefere o vídeo que eu faço uma tradução simultânea. Comenta o que vocês preferem. Hoje a gente vai mostrar com legenda pra gente não perder nada que ele fala. Não é sempre que a gente faz com legenda. Quando o vídeo é mais curto, quando dá pra gente dublar ou traduzir, aí a gente faz assim. Mas no caso desse vídeo aqui, eu acho que é importante a gente ouvir ele no idioma original. Beleza? Comenta aí o que vocês preferem. Bom, vamos lá, pessoal. Vamos escutar o que o Charlie Angus tem a dizer sobre essa situação, esse caos que está acontecendo, Canadá versus Estados Unidos.
I'm here with Charlie Angus, member of Parliament in Canada. Now, Charlie, Donald Trump continues to attack the sovereignty of Canada. He's imposed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum products in Canada and across the world as of Monday evening. And he continues to poke Canada, prod Canada, talk about conquering Canada. What do you make of all of this, Charlie?
Well, I really don't want to waste a lot of time trying to deconstruct the idiocy that exists in Donald Trump's brain. But wasn't it just a week ago we were going to get a 30-day pause? And a week ago wasn't the threat fentanyl, the supposed narco state that Canada is, and now he's focused on steel imports and aluminum. So again, to the American industry that's dependent on massive access to steel and aluminum through all the sectors of the American economy, well, you might want to call Donald tomorrow because he's just thrown you for a loop. He's certainly thrown our communities for a loop in the steel and aluminum sector. But I think what's really fascinating is that nobody in Canada is surprised. I mean, did anyone believe this guy? His word could be trusted. He's a criminal. He's a convicted predator. So when Donald says one thing, you can know that his word means nothing. So the majority of Canadians that I'm hearing, it's like, oh yeah, so here he goes again. But then he goes further and he starts to poke us and insult us and say he's going to take away our sovereignty. Now, I know that, you know, having grown up in a working class town in the schoolyard, bullies think that intimidation works. But what he's done right now is every time he opens his mouth, he drives Canadians further and further in our resolve. And what we're going to see very soon is a number of key American industries calling Donald. In fact, they've started to call him because Canadians are voting with their dollars. They're saying, no, Donald, we will never spend another dime in the United States. We're going to cancel our trips. Florida, Arizona, the Carolinas, even great cities like New York are seeing a precipitous drop because Canadians are not going to spend a dime in a country where their elected leader is threatening our sovereignty. So the boycott in Canada is just taken off in a way I couldn't even imagined it before. So every time Donald comes on like he's doing now and threatens us and threatens our future, he's just really building the resistance up. And what's going to happen is it's going to backlash on a lot of hardworking American families who are dependent on key economies that are dependent on Canadian dollars. Those dollars are going to dry up very quickly.
Right, because we're not even talking about the damage yet that's going to be caused by Canada's retaliation in the form of retaliatory tariffs. Canadians on their own at a grassroots level are saying, we're boycotting American products from the grocery stores and from all of our stores. We're buying Canada. And unless we're forced to go into that meth lab beneath us, which is the United States of America. We are not going there, and there is a travel boycott. It's like a scarlet letter almost in Canada if you're coming to the United States of America. Charlie, talk a little bit more in detail about how important the tourism industry is. I think it's a $20 billion industry of Canadians coming into the United States. If only 10% of that 20 billion is impacted, it will cost 144,000 American jobs, and it will cause $2 billion in damages to the American tourism industry. I think it's going to be far more than 10%. What are you seeing? To me, I think it's going to be closer to 50 to 100% based on what I'm hearing from Canadians. What are you hearing, Charlie?
The numbers are dramatic, and we saw the U.S. Tourism Association fire a warning shot at Donald just the other day. They talked about the loss of 140,000 American jobs based on a 10% loss. My sense is that it's much higher already. I was talking to a woman today. They canceled their trip to Myrtle Beach, 6 weeks that they were going to go. Immediately, they were put through to a supervisor in a call center who's dealing specifically with Canadians. And the first thing he said to the woman was, "Believe me, he's not our president." She told me once before she had to cancel a trip because they got sick and they just got, they were too bad, so sad. But if a Canadian phones and says I'm phoning, they're being put through right to supervisors right now. So we're hearing, again, from across a really vast political spectrum, 8 people going to a Arizona golf tournament. I don't think those are radical lefties. No, we don't care if we have to eat the deposit. We're not going. People are telling me everywhere, we're just not going. The border towns, in Michigan, New York, that are close to me, in Washington State, they're already seeing like empty stores. Canadians love to shop. We love to cross the border and see if we can get a deal. Those stores are empty. So every time Donald threatens us now, it adds more. So you're seeing the tourism industry. So Florida, 38% of their tourism money is Canadian. Texas, I think it's like a couple $100 million they've lost already. And then you take Bourbon in Kentucky. The Kentucky governor, man, he's on a love mission to reassure Canadians that we're all good friends. Well, we all were good friends, but we're not good friends right now. So to not buy Kentucky bourbon and buy Canadian whiskey, that's a political choice, and Canadians are making that choice. And every time Donald opens his mouth, he makes Canadians say, "Oh, is there something else I haven't thought about boycotting?" The boycott is a powerful tool because it's ordinary people. It's not planned. There's no leader running this. It's ordinary people saying, "I am going to stand up to tyranny." And fascists and people who use the politics of intimidation, they don't know how to respond to the power of the boycott. It's worked so great in the past, and it's working phenomenally right now with the solidarity we're seeing.
Charlie, so I would say the MeidasTouch network may be the most watched network now, at least on YouTube in Canada. We're certainly watched by millions in Canada. So what's your message to those Canadians who are wondering what they should do in terms of a boycott? What do you say to Canadians who are watching this?
The one thing I've learned is I don't have to say anything. They're doing it. I've gone up to talk to people all the time and say, "Hey, have you thought of this?" And I said, "Don't worry, we've been doing this for weeks." Canadians are strong. I think one of the reasons MeidasTouch is so powerful in Canada is Canadians want information. They want a vision about how to resist, because these are troubling times. It's very scary what we're dealing with right now. None of us have ever dealt with a situation of a government unhinged that has destroyed the checks and balances that a normal operating democracy has, that's acting like a gangster state. It's very, very frightening. And I know a lot of Canadians are very worried, but they know the one thing they can do is to resist by not spending a single dime on anything American. And they know that at the end of the day, this is what's going to, someone's going to, as we say in Northern Ontario, someone's going to slap Donald Trump upside the head for being such a moron. So Donald, keep shooting your mouth off, keep threatening us, keep trying to degrade us. All you're doing is building the resistance that is very extraordinary. And I'm also now starting to hear from European friends and people across the world who are saying, if Canada can do it, we can do it, because there's a bigger threat to global democracy here than just tariffs. This is about a threat to the international rule of law. This is a threat about to notions of democratic freedom that we have worked for decades to build. This man is an anathema to that. This man is a threat to that. So to our friends in the UK, to our friends in France, to our friends in Germany, to our friends in Mexico, we all stand together by just saying we will not engage as individuals and as citizens. And that is a powerful, powerful message we've got right now. And it's a powerful tool for resisting tyranny.
Finally, Charlie, I want to show you this. I could show you about 10 of these clips over the past 24 hours, but I'll show you this one. It's an interview with Donald Trump and Brett Baer on Fox, but Trump said the same thing on Air Force One. He's been repeating it over and over again. Let me play it for you right now, and then I want you to respond directly. You know, Trump's people watch this. I want you to respond directly to Donald Trump, but first, let's play his clip.
Canada, you're a different country. And I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada, you can't count them. Wayne Gretzky, I love Wayne Gretzky. I love so many people. I love their tradition. I love their ice hockey. But why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it. The Canadian citizens would have a much lower tax rate. They'd have much better medical, and they'd have military protection like nobody can have.
Charlie, what do you say to Donald Trump?
Well, Donald, real simple. Canadian kids go to school without having to worry about getting shot in their classrooms because we have gun rules. Canadians, if they get sick, can go to the hospital and not spend a dime. They don't have to deal with guys like Luigi shooting CEOs who are sponging off sick American people. And Donald Trump doesn't love Canadians. He doesn't know a thing about us. He detests us because he's a grifter. So every time Donald says how much he thinks about Canada, he's thinking about us as some kind of poor, dumb sap nation that's going to give into his intimidation. Well, guess what, Donald? We come from a long line of anti-fascist fighters. All my uncles kicked the Nazi rear ends all over Europe. We'd do it all again. We will defend our country. We will defend our healthcare. We will defend our values of inclusivity, and we will defend it from convicted predators like you. So keep talking, Donald. Just keep talking. It's only building the resistance here to an incredible level. We will never break. We will never bow down. And we will never, ever, ever kiss your ring.
Charlie Angus, member of Parliament in Canada. Charlie Angus leading the resistance, and I would say the offense as well in Canada and globally. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks so much.
Bom, é isso, pessoal. Tá aí os comentários do Charlie Angus. Às vezes eu reagi aqui em alguns momentos, né? Os momentos que eu reagi mais, assim, foi o lance da fronteira. A gente mora aqui na região da Grande Vancouver, né? E as fronteras aqui entre Canadá e Estados Unidos tem muito menos gente passando. A gente percebe isso. Esse movimento tá bem menor, né? Outra coisa que eu reagi, porque não dá para não reagir, ele fala do plano de saúde, né? Na minha opinião, cada um tem sua opinião, na minha opinião, o sistema de saúde daqui do Canadá tem muitos problemas, tem, falta equipe, falta, porém é um sistema que funciona, é um sistema justo que funciona para todo mundo, né? Nos Estados Unidos, você precisa ter dinheiro, que senão provavelmente você vai morrer ou você vai ficar com uma dívida pro resto da vida, né? Basicamente é isso. Outra coisa que eu acho que eu queria pontuar, ele mostrou um discurso do Trump aí, o que tá me parecendo é um discurso repetido. Ele fala exatamente as mesmas palavras. Me parece um discurso roteirizado. Ele fala tudo, inclusive, na mesma ordem. O Wayne Gretzky, 200 bilhões, blá, 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 blá. Me parece muito roteirizado. O que vocês acham disso? Comentem aí o que vocês acham. Eu não sei, eu tô sentindo isso. Eu já escutei tanto discurso dele falando isso. Em ocasiões diferentes, parece o Didi lá no Céu Tem Pão, contando a história do Céu Tem Pão. 1 milhão de vezes a mesma história. A dele também me parece roteirizado, exatamente, tudo na mesma ordem, inclusive. O que vocês acham disso? Comenta aí. Bom, é isso, pessoal. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Eu quero a opinião. Eu acabei reagindo em alguns momentos. Não era nem para eu reagir, mas eu reagi. E eu quero a opinião de vocês sobre o discurso do Charlie Angus. O que vocês acham? Concordam, discordam? O que vocês acham? E a questão do boicote, Canadá e Estados Unidos também. Eu quero que vocês comentem. Beleza? Pessoal, lembra do like pro vídeo furar a bolha? Se inscreve no canal se ainda não é inscrito. Quer ajudar a gente? Tá difícil, pessoal. A gente começou a entrar num terreno espinhoso aqui. Tá difícil. Você quer ajudar a gente? Dá uma gorjeta? Tá gostando do canal? Tá gostando dos rumos que o canal tá tomando? Então, ajuda a gente. Temos o sistema de valeu, que você seleciona o valor que você puder ajudar. E temos o sistema recorrente, que é o sistema de membros aqui do canal também, que aí você ajuda a gente com um cafezinho por mês e vai ajudar bastante na continuidade do projeto. Beleza? Não pode ajudar financeiramente, você pode ajudar espalhando o vídeo. Passa o link, pega o link daqui, passa no WhatsApp, passa pros seus contatos no Facebook também, espalha, passa pra frente. Beleza? É isso. Valeu, pessoal, e até a próxima.